It's the 8th of May, 1982, Zolder, Belgium. With 8 minutes left in the qualifying session for the Belgian Grand Prix, Formula One is about to lose one of its brightest stars. Gilles Villeneuve, Ferrari's beloved daredevil, is on track, fueled not just by ambition, but by something darker. What happens in the next few moments will shock the motorsport world and change Ferrari's destiny forever. This is the story of Gilles Villeneuve, a man whose driving defied logic, whose legend transcended statistics. Especially at Jarama, where he led a train of faster cars for lap after lap, his defensive driving described by Niki Lauda as a miracle. He was becoming something more than a racer. He was becoming a myth. To him, a line had been crossed not of team orders, but of honor. He returned to the paddock silent. He told the press, "I'll never speak to Pironi again," and he never did, and whose tragic end became one of Formula One's most haunting memories. He was resuscitated at the trackside and airlifted to the University Hospital of Louvain. He raced because he loved it. To fans, drivers, and even rivals, he was the racer's racer. Ferrari would not win another driver's title until 2008 years later. Mechanics still speak of Villeneuve with reverence. Photos of him still hang in Maranello. Gilles raced not for points, not for politics, but for pride. A date forever etched in the soul of Formula One. It was the day ambition, betrayal, and fate collided on a narrow Belgian track. It was the day Ferrari's hopes turned to horror. They become the heartbeat of the sport itself, eternal, untouchable, and unforgettable. And it was the day the sport lost its soul. And remember, heroes may fall, but their spirit never fades. But Gilles Villeneuve never truly left us. He lives in every red car that takes to the track, in every fearless move, in every fan who fell in love with Formula One because of the roar, the chaos, the beauty of a driver who only knew one speed flat out. For joy, for the thrill of the drive, he gave everything. And in the end, he paid the ultimate price. There are drivers who win titles and fade from memory. And then there are legends who never needed a crown to be remembered. He remains an icon within the Scuderia reminder of passion unfiltered. The crash also forced Formula One to rethink safety. Though not immediate, it became a part of the growing chorus for better crash barriers, stricter car design regulations, and better medical response times. Villeneuve's death wasn't in vain. Ayrton Senna once said that watching footage of Villeneuve inspired him. Niki Lauda called him the only driver I ever truly feared. Every time a driver takes a corner just a little too fast, every time someone goes for the impossible overtake, Villeneuve lives on. At Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, named in his honor, fans still gather to celebrate not just a driver, but a spirit of pure racing. He left behind a wife, Joanne, and 2 children, one of whom, Jacques Villeneuve, would go on to win the F1 World Championship in 1997. The fallout at Ferrari was immense. Pironi, now the de facto team leader, was vilified by fans. The team spiraled. Later that season, Pironi suffered a career-ending crash at Hockenheim. Ferrari lost the constructors' title to McLaren. It was a championship that should have been theirs. Doctors diagnosed a fatal neck fracture. His injuries were catastrophic. At 9:12 p.m., Gilles Villeneuve was pronounced dead. He was 32 years old. The motorsport world stopped. Teammates cried. Journalists wrote in disbelief. The tifosi went silent. Ferrari withdrew from the race. Enzo Ferrari, devastated, reportedly never forgave Didier Pironi, but with that competitiveness came internal tension. At the San Marino Grand Prix in Imola, Gilles Villeneuve and Didier Pironi were alone at the front after the Renaults retired. Ferrari signaled to their drivers to slow down and maintain position. The mood at Ferrari was tense. Villeneuve was desperate to out-qualify Pironi. He believed the world had seen a distorted version of the truth at Imola. He wanted to restore balance, redemption. The qualifying session on Saturday, May 8th was chaotic. Drivers were pushing. Traffic was heavy. With just 8 minutes remaining, Villeneuve was on a hot lap but got caught in traffic. Pironi had gone quicker. Gilles returned to the pits, visibly frustrated. According to engineers, he asked for a new set of tires. He wanted one more shot, one last lap. Gilles took it as a code to hold places he was leading. But Pironi had other plans. His Ferrari 1-6C2, red and low-slung, thundered down the narrow Belgian circuit. In the final sector, approaching the Turlo-Man Bocht, Gilles came up behind Johan Mass's march. The two were on different agendas, Mass on a cool-down lap, Joe on full push. Mass saw Villeneuve in his mirrors and moved right to let him pass. But Villeneuve had already committed to the right. In a flash, the Ferrari clipped the back of Mass's car. It launched into the air, twisting, somersaulting, disintegrating. The car shattered against the ground. The front of the Ferrari was torn away. Gilles Villeneuve was thrown from the car, still strapped to his seat, into the catch fencing at over 200 kilometers per hour. The silence afterward was deafening. With just a few laps to go, Pironi overtook Villeneuve. Gilles passed him back. The battle continued. On the final lap, Pironi dived past and won. This is the story F1 wants to forget, but never will. Gilles Villeneuve was born on January 18, 1950, in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, Quebec, Canada. A snow-covered world, far removed from the glamour and sun-drenched circuits of Europe. Yet, from an early age, Gilles showed an unnatural obsession with speed. He raced snowmobiles before he ever touched a racing car. Those winter machines, unpredictable, brutal, taught him control under chaos, instinct in the face of the unknown. It was there, in the snow, that the legend began to form. Villeneuve moved into Formula Ford and eventually into Formula Atlantic, where his raw pace caught the attention of none other than James Hunt. Hunt told McLaren's team principal about the wild Canadian. And in 1977, Villeneuve made his F1 debut at the British Grand Prix with McLaren. Ferrari was watching. Enzo Ferrari, aging but sharp, saw something in Villeneuve few others did. He saw a driver who reminded him of Tazio Nuvolari, a man who drove not with calculation, but with heart. Here was a man who gave everything, every lap, every corner. In 1979, Gilles came agonizingly close to the world title. He supported teammate Jody Scheckter at Monza, choosing loyalty over glory. Ferrari won the championship that year, but not Gilles. What he gave up in points, he gained in respect. Ferrari signed Villeneuve, and in 1977, Gilles began his journey with the prancing horse. The early years at Ferrari weren't easy. Gilles crashed often. Critics said he was too reckless. But the tifosi, the passionate Ferrari fans, fell in love. The 1981 season was difficult. Ferrari's car was uncompetitive, yet Gilles won 2 improbable races, Monaco and Yorima. The 1982 season began with hope. Ferrari had a strong car. The 126C2 was fast and finally reliable. Villeneuve was devastated, betrayed, furious. 2 weeks later, the Formula One circus arrived in Zolder, Belgium. The track was tight and technical, surrounded by forest. Villeneuve left the pit lane. Medical teams rushed to the scene. Gilles had no pulse. The Formula One community was shaken. Gilles had become a symbol of everything pure about racing. He wasn't political. He didn't race for statistics. Gilles Villeneuve never won a world title, but he didn't need to. Ferrari never truly recovered from that day at Zolder. Enzo Ferrari, heartbroken, withdrew further from the spotlight. The team became more insular. Jest and politics festered. Why does Villeneuve's story still resonate? Because it was real. Because it was raw. Because it ended too soon. May 8, 1982. Zolder. This is the story Formula One wants to forget, but must always remember, because legends like Gilles Villeneuve never really die. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, subscribe for more.